question now, right?
Yeah, send it.
All right, cool. Currently, I'm lifting a lot and not training a lot. I'm lifting 6 times a week, maybe training 3 or 4 times a week. And honestly, it just depends on the day. Um, Generally, after leg day, you're not gonna feel like training, so you probably need like a rest day. But I try to structure my lifting sessions and training sessions in accordance to basically what I'm doing. So like legs day is going to be hard. The next day, generally, I'm not going to want to train. But say if I have like an upper body day, I'll probably be able to jump around using my legs. If I guess if I do have like a lower body day, I could do like laches, because that takes the pressure off my legs and I just have to focus on landing. So you kind of want to structure it like that, but it also depends on your goals. If you're just doing like if you're lifting or like working out 3 times a week, you'll probably be able to train as much as you want, depending on like the intensity. But if you're like really trying to drive like strength gains and really trying to get stronger, you're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit of training just so you can be sure you're ready for the next workout. And that's all that is. So if I was going to try to start over again and try to split my week up, I wouldn't worry so much about planning ahead. I would just start jumping into it, maybe doing a simple program, seeing how your body responds each day, and kind of making like a mental note like, okay, on this day, generally I'm able to train the next day after, or, this day, the next day I'm completely destroyed and I can't train. And from there, you'll be able to start to structure some type of program personalized to you. So hopefully I answered
100%.
that pretty
Uh,
well.
I definitely still have an echo. Don't know why. Don't know how. It's probably just gonna be there. I'll just leave DJ up to most of the talking here. Um, so what days do you like? What days are you not able to train as much after?
Um, Generally it's after legs. So, well, maybe not the day after, but like maybe 2 days after doing legs. So I'll lift Monday. I'll be able to train Tuesday, but then Wednesday I'll be pretty destroyed, won't be able to train, and I probably shouldn't because I'll have to do legs again on Thursday. So that's uh that's kind of right now how I structure it. With upper body stuff, I tend not to get super tired doing it, so I'm pretty much able to train whenever I want as long as I don't completely destroy like my shoulders or something before a heavy bench or something like that. But currently, that's just how it is. So I'm training maybe 3 times a week and lifting for six.
Hey man,
When the
this
year's
ties right
up,
into another question real quick. You can
okay.
segue as you please, but so many people are asking, do you have a training program? If so, let me get that.
I do not have a training program. I am working on something. So I have made personalized programs for maybe like 4 or 5 people, and they've gone through it. I've gotten some good reviews so far. I'll have something a little bit later on that's more concrete. But if you wanted to create a training program for yourself, oh my God. First thing I would figure out is, do you want to be lifting weights? Are you trying to lose fat? That's a good one. You just really need to figure out what your goals are, right? From there, you'll be able to figure out what you want to do. So say if you just want to lose weight, right? You could be doing parkour, but you want to focus on like cardio parkour lines. So like not necessarily doing the hardest parkour stuff ever, but just flowy stuff that's going to get your heart rate up and really just flowing through your environment. That's something I would do to like lose fat while doing parkour. If you're trying to like increase your jump, increase your power, you basically want to take the the equation of how you increase power, which is strength times speed, and you want to increase your strength, then you want to increase the speed of which you can display that strength, and then from there you should get more power, right? So if you want to increase your jump, you squat super heavy, usually within the rep ranges of 3 to 6, which is why you see people have like 5 by 5s, like 5 sets of 5 of squat or whatever. You want to find a weight that's so heavy that you can only do about 5 reps, right? And then every week maybe try to increase that from maybe 5 pound increments over time. After a while, you'll have like a new 5 rep max. Of course, after like a few weeks, you'll have like, okay, I gained like 30-40 pounds on my 5 rep max, so technically I am stronger now. And then what you want to do is you could drop the weight, focus on lifting quickly, and then from there you should see noticeable gains from that alone. There's a little bit more stuff that goes into that, but that's like a rough overview of that.
I respect that.
Um,
Can y'all hear me? Hold on. I'm
yeah,
testing to
let's
see
figure
if I
out this
can
Joey
hear
thing.
myself.
Okay.
Hey, I figured it out. It's fixed. Let's go, dude.
You fix
Okay,
it?
I fixed it. Yep.
Cool. Because I was not trying to talk just straight an
I'm
hour.
sorry, bro. Yeah, I think I got it fixed now though.
Hey,
Yep, no echo. Appreciate you, Bob Smith. Let's go, dude. Oh, that was a
hey.
pain.
You got a lit
Tofu,
chat too.
bro, just go back into the army. I hear they're, you know what I'm saying? I hear they thin you out a little bit. All right, what's the next question, DJ? What you got for us? I know we
Let
had a
me see.
bunch on
Darian.
Instagram.
Darian says, how many round offs can you do straight? I don't know. I can do a ton of round offs straight.
Bro, let me tell you what, I'll go back and forth for like 3 days on roundoffs. Just bop, 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 bop.
All day round offs, dude. Don't gotta stop with the
That's what I'm
round offs at
saying. That's what
all.
I'm saying.
All right, let me see what other questions we got up in
Yep.
here.
We got
How do
how do
you
you
get over
yeah, send
the
it.
mental wall of doing flips, kongs, long precisions, whatever? I'll let you take it, Joe.
All right. So getting over the mental effort of sending pretty much anything, dude, it's all the same process. Like there's a small difference between getting over the flip mental barrier versus getting over like a big jump or a like big conk pre or whatever,
Hmm.
but it pretty much goes the same. So for like we'll start with we'll just do the generalized one right now. You figure out what you can do, and that's kind of your starting spot, right? And then you figure out what you need to do and what piece of that you're scared of. So if you take like a jump, for example, you know about how far you can jump, and anytime you look at a jump, you have this idea of I can make this or I can't make this, or you're like 100% not sure. And if you know you can make it, that's when it's only mental. If you know you can't make it, there's no mental involved. You're not scared. You just know you can't do it. So now you need to get stronger. And if you're somewhere right in between, that's where the two come together and that's when it becomes the scariest. So if it's only mental and you're like, I know I can make this jump, I'm just scared, that's where you really just have to, you know, grow some balls and send it because you know
Yep.
you can do it. Nothing's going to go wrong, right? When it's right in between, that's when it gets the scariest. You're like, I'm pretty sure I can make this, but I'm not 100% sure. That's where you set it up either on the ground to the side to, prove to yourself you can make it, or you just start going through your head with your bail options. Like, can I bounce this comfortably? If I get my feet there but they slip, what are my bailout options? Like, understand what you can do if you underdo it a little bit or you overdo it a little bit. Then you have your bail options, and now you can, approach it accordingly. That's pretty much what I do. And
Yeah.
then I just send the prep jump like 100 times until I'm like, yeah, I can do this, and then do it.
Yeah. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
What about for flipping? Would you
All
say
right, so
it's the
for
same way?
flipping, it's a little bit different. You still think about your bail options, like what can I do if this goes wrong? So for example, if you take uh it also changes. So let's dive deep into this because this is an
Okay.
interesting one that people ask about a lot.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between being scared of a back flip, front flip, back full, uh, tack inward side. There's a big difference between these single flips and something like a double flip or a double twist or something where you're
Hmm.
not fully in control the whole time. So for a single flip, the most scary one for most beginners being a back flip. Also in the chat, feel free if you're like, hold up, this is way too beginner knowledge or this is way too advanced knowledge. Let us know where everybody's at because I don't know
Hmm.
where y'all are at. So I'm gonna start small and then I'm gonna work up to the bigger ones. But for a backflip, you can always start safe. You can always start with your hands. You can do cartwheels. You can work those into like back handspring cartwheels. You can work those into back handsprings, and you're getting your hands down on the ground, and you can count that as a bail of a backflip because if you go
Yeah.
for a backflip and your hands touch the ground, it's a bail. So you can work up from the bail. Same thing with the front flip. You can literally just flip to your side and catch yourself like on your shoulder. I actually have a tutorial on my YouTube of this exact same thing. Um, just get very low to the ground and flip to your side and catch yourself. Once you're comfortable catching yourself out of a basic flip like that, you can start adding more and more power and getting more and more comfortable catching yourself higher up, catching yourself on your feet before falling backwards, starting to build that air awareness, and
Hmm.
everything's all good.
Yeah. It's
That
really important,
covers
especially when you're starting out and you don't have access to like a gym with
exactly,
mats where you could just straight up send stuff. You have to start getting creative, like with
exactly.
how you approach it. So you have to kind of be comfortable with falling a little bit.
Yep. And
Um,
obviously, if you have mats, you just send it to mats, right? Like you get
yeah.
comfortable flipping over to your back, and then you go from there. Now, moving on to twists, this is a really good question. How does this apply for corks? Same exact thing. So I would argue that if you're training properly, nobody trains properly, but if you're training properly, you learn backflip, then you learn slant gainer, and then you learn cork. Only after you have slant gainer, which that means that you can take your slant gainer or your cheat gainer and you can start doing a cheat hyper, and then you can start doing a cheat half, and then you can start doing basically a cheat late full, which is pretty much a cork, and then you spin it on the
Mm,
way up. And what you learn throughout that process of movements is how to get your feet to the ground. Like, and once you can get your feet to the ground safely, you can start adding in the twist. And when the twist starts happening, your feet are still going to land first. You then just have to relax into it and not try to stomp it. You just have to relax, let your feet land, and then kind of collapse down. Once you know exactly where your feet are and you're getting to your feet every time, then you can go for the stomp.
yeah.
That's pretty much how you do it
Dude,
with any twist.
great question. What do you value more, difficulty, creativity, or well-rounded athletes?
I mean, I know my
That's a
answer.
great question.
What's your answer, DJ?
It depends on what it is. Like it's so like if it's like a competition, like a style comp, then I appreciate difficulty pretty much over everything, right?
Yeah, I feel that.
But if we're just training, I have more fun training with well-rounded athletes
Yep.
than because I'm not like super good at like like just parkour or just free riding. Like I'm kind of doing a little bit of both. I guess I lean a little bit more towards the parkour side, but like if I'm training with someone who just strictly just does flips, I'm gonna have a difficult time really training with that person.
Yeah, I feel
So,
that. For
but
me, I've always permanently and forever leaned towards well-rounded athletes.
yeah,
Uh, Creativity's dope. I like creativity because I personally am not that creative with my lines. I like to do pretty standard stuff in new ways. So like
hmm
I like to go to a spot, see the standard stuff there, and be like, how can I take this standard stuff and create a line that I'm super hyped with and like make it more difficult for myself with the standard stuff. So
yeah,
when I see creativity, that's really cool to me. It inspires me to try new things, but I can't necessarily say I value it that high since I almost never train it. Or at
yeah.
least I train it in a very different way. Creativity is a weird. It's you know what I mean. We
Some
got
people, I feel like some people are too creative and it ends up making stupid lines. But
agreed.
I
And
don't
I
know.
also feel like anytime you dive into creativity, you have to like define it because there can be so
Yeah,
many different types of
yeah.
creativity. Um, with that said, difficulty's dope. I love difficulty, but like it kind of like DJ said, if it's in a competition, I'm pretty much looking for difficulty, right? But again, difficulty is in all facets of training. Like
Yeah,
it can be difficult because this easy move combined with this easy move then becomes insanely hard, or it can be
that's
difficult
true.
because you just did a triple cork and it's just really hard to do a triple cork. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It
Um,
depends on where you are. Like
yeah,
you could take a simple pre and put it 30 feet high, and I
exactly,
would argue it makes it extremely difficult. Yeah,
exactly. But for sure, well-rounded athletes is what I want to see.
for
Uh,
sure.
from your experience, do you think free running athletes can get too bulky? Hell yes. From my
Hell yeah.
experience, 100% yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
DJ, I'm gonna let
Yeah.
you dive a little more into that because
Man, I'm struggling with flipping now. I'm like 10 pounds heavier than I was at the beginning of the year. And now my flips are like, they're all right. I'm slowly getting used to it again. But I could tell if I got even bigger than this, then my flips might suffer a little bit.
all right, I got a
And
question to add on to that.
yeah,
Um, do you think it's purely because of size, or do you think it's more focus on lifting over, or let's not even say lifting, more focus
that's
on
the
bulking over training?
yeah, it's more focused on bulking over training for sure. Not necessarily lifting. Like my goal is to just get size. Like of course get more strength and more power for my jumps, right? But it's just mostly for aesthetic right now.
Yeah.
I just want to look good, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's up. But at the same coin, I've also gotten like really really strong. So whenever I do lean more back in towards parkour and I start focusing on like jumping quickly, lifting quickly, stuff like that, I will have a lot more power. And I have like gained a little bit of power
Yeah.
just like lifting, but not necessarily focusing on output, you know? Um but yeah, so when I lean more back into parkour, I'll definitely see a lot more power. Flipping wise, I don't know. I feel like if you're bigger, it's harder, man. That's why people who are like super thin, they can twist really well.
Yeah, yeah. I completely
So
agree. I feel like when it
I
comes to flipping, there's a very quick point where you're just a little too bulky. Um,
yeah.
Dude, I have gotten 7 calls in the last 30 minutes from spam.
That's
This is
hilarious. That's hilarious.
insanity, bro.
Mhm. But
Um,
on the same coin, also I lean more towards the jumping and parkour side of things.
mhm.
So being bulky isn't necessarily. I mean, of course, there's a line where you can go too far, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It kind of protects your body from like drops and stuff like that. Like I could take like pretty big drops and not really feel much of anything,
Yeah.
and just high impacty stuff.
You're kind of just
So
a
that
tank at this point.
yeah, exactly. It's like I'll throw myself at it because I'm fucking big and it can't hurt me. So
Yeah.
within reason, you know. So
Um,
that's why it's very important to focus on what your goals are.
100%. I feel that because there's been times throughout my training where I've been like, dang, I wish I was bigger and stronger. And then there's been
Yeah,
times where I'm like, dude, if I could just lose 20 pounds, be like 110 pounds,
yeah, it just be
do
super
you realize
springy.
how, yeah, dude, I'd be sending flat triple fulls. Like it'd be
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah,
But yeah, I think a mix is obviously better. And
yeah,
you can be too skinny where like you're just gonna snap like a twig. You don't have any strength. Like yeah,
yeah.
sure you could spin really fast and like jump far, but landing is just gonna absolutely suck.
Mhm.
So I feel like
Yeah,
that's a problem.
and that's why I recommend that everyone, especially if you're a young guy in parkour, even if you are focusing on like the flipping, spinny stuff, still put on a little bit of muscle because you
Yeah,
need to protect those bones. Like
that's
I
what
be
I'm
seeing some
saying,
janky
bro.
landings, bro, and I'd
Oh
be like,
my
dude,
god.
I'm like, bro, it's only a matter of time for that twig snaps, fam. So it's like,
Dude, I feel that.
you know, so like, just put on a little bit, just a little bit
Oh.
aside. Ain't gotta be a lot, but
All right, we got this question. I'm gonna ignore the chat just for a second. We'll get back to the
okay.
chat here. But we got this question that I kind of liked. How do you prepare yourself to retry a line that you previously injured yourself on?
Ooh,
And I'm just gonna take it from the perspective of like, okay, maybe you didn't break your leg, but like, you remember when I snapped my neck at the gym?
yeah,
Bro, like something like
yeah.
that. Something like that, where like maybe you got a shinner, maybe you tweaked your ankle, maybe, whatever it was.
Hmm. I would almost just completely walk away from trying to do it. It depends. Like sometimes you'll get hurt somewhere, and it's like you're not scared of the movement. You're just scared of the movement at that area.
I
you
feel
know,
that.
like I would just like kind of walk away, maybe work on this a similar movement somewhere else. Um, that's a little bit more controlled. That you can, I don't know, maybe you could bail. Say if you're in a gym or something like that. But if you happen to be outside, just work on movements similar to the one you hurt yourself on, and then maybe like within like a month or two, come back and be like, okay. Of course, you're gonna have like that nagging fear in the back of your mind because you hurt yourself, but this time you'll be more experienced with that movement. So
Yeah. And for me, I also think it all depends. So, dude, parkour's difficult because you don't really have set scenarios, right? Like you can
yeah.
talk about a set scenario, but it's not a set scenario. There's a lot of variables that go into everything. So I think it
Hmm.
depends a lot on those variables. So for example, uh, I'll just take the one where I damn near snapped my neck at a somatic. We were doing this like straddle Kong pre to dive catch. That was the hard part. The rest of the line was
Hmm.
also kind of hard, but like that was the main piece. And I did the straddle Kong multiple times. Everything was feeling good, and then I went for it again. And when I went for the pre, my toes just slipped off. But I was already looking up to go to the dive catch, And so my shin slammed, my head like literally whiplashed back when I hit the ground. Like it was super unpleasant. I
Yeah,
thought I snapped my neck for a second. I was like, "Oh
bro.
my
It
god."
looked like you did. You were even like, wait a second, wait, because we were laughing. You're
Yeah.
like, wait. And I was like, okay,
I was
hold
like,
on.
let me lay down a minute cuz dude, so many pops in my neck and back. I was just like, I don't know what just happened. And I
Hmm.
know I slammed my shins, but I can't feel anything. Like, let me chill for a minute. Um
But you like sent it again pretty much after
Exactly,
that, though.
exactly. And that's where the variables come in, right? Like it's not like my skill wasn't ready for it. I literally just wasn't paying attention. And
Yeah,
so I we'll get technical with it. I
yeah,
analyzed the situation and I pinpointed the problem. And the
yeah,
problem had nothing to do with skill level, hesitation, or anything. It was literally just me not paying attention. And if
yeah,
it comes down to something like that, let's say you injured yourself because you weren't paying attention, just chalk it up to wow, I was an idiot in the moment and that'll never happen again. And then
yeah.
you can get right back up once you're feeling better and send the line again.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's all about rationalizing. Like even if you're just going back to like the fear thing, even if you're just scared of a movement, right? You got to pinpoint why you are afraid. Like, or like in that case, when you hurt yourself, you have to figure out why you hurt yourself. Was it because the line is scary, or like was it because I just slipped up because I wasn't paying attention to this one thing, and
exactly.
now if I just focus on that one thing, shouldn't happen again. Like
Yep.
if I'm looking at like a big running jump or something, you know, am I scared of the running jump, or am I scared of the fact that if I don't quite make it, I'm not going to be able to bounce it, right?
Exactly.
So it's all about rationalizing like what you're afraid of. A lot of stuff we're scared of, we're looking at the picture overall, and we're not like dumbing it down to like small incremental tiny fears that we have, like, oh, I'm just afraid of the takeoff, or oh, I'm just afraid of, I've never landed on something like that, or oh, this is just like, if I bail out, I don't quite know what to do,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And then when you rationalize stuff, you'll also be able to work it out, so you'll be like, oh, there's no way I could hurt myself because this, and then once you do that, that
Exactly.
can calm down that little fear monster in your head.
Yep. And if you still have fear after that, then it just comes down to experience. Like
Yeah, you just need to train more.
you just need to train more. You need to train things in that situation, maybe at a slightly less risk level, a slightly lower
Hmm.
risk level, and put your body in that position that you're scared of more often, and then you'll stop being scared of that
Yeah,
position or that situation.
a lot of
Uh,
times you could be scared just because you haven't worked the mental side of parkour in a while.
exactly,
Like,
exactly. I mean, we were in
we
that
we went
same
through that.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got out to what this was just after we came back from Atlanta, right?
Hmm.
And we just went super ham. We kept seeing challenges where we were like, I know we can do this, but I'm terrified. And
Yeah.
every time we saw a challenge like that, we made ourselves do the challenge. Like we couldn't
Yeah.
walk away until we did it, and that got our brains back into this idea of doing what we know we can do
Even
instead
if it's
of
scary.
saying, okay, I know I can do this, so there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
Which
Exactly.
that's a really
Exactly.
easy bad habit to fall into.
Yeah. And we found later it started getting easier to commit to scary things.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It got a lot easier. But we
I,
got a lot of questions since we started talking.
yeah, I like this question right here. Okay, well, let's do what are your top three gyms events? That'll be a fast one. What are your top three gyms or events that you think every free runner should go to?
Somatic
NAPC,
movement. But I'm
100%.
I'm hella fucking
Oh yeah, I
biased.
mean, obviously somatic movement. I would say NAPC is like the biggest one that everybody should
Yeah.
go to because that's been the most consistent like
Hmm.
grassroots community competition that we've ever had. It's been consistent almost every year, obviously with the exception of COVID.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just a staple in the community. Everybody should support that place.
So
Everything
many good
else is like
athletes
died, dude.
go.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Everybody's
Yeah.
there. Like the everything about that event is just spot on.
Hmm.
The other ones that I would have said just don't exist anymore.
That's deep.
uh, which is
Because of
why
COVID, or just time?
time, COVID, I mean, like, I would say Art of Motion, but I don't think that's
Hmm.
for everybody. Like, there's great things about it if you're an athlete, but I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of major downsides if you're going just as a spectator or just to like enjoy the scene. Obviously, I can't speak about Italy because I did not go. But
Yeah.
talking about Santorini, one, it's super expensive. If you're not an athlete that has everything paid for.
Yeah.
And two, like they really like to kick you off of the spots. At least that was my experience. Like they're not happy with you training everywhere.
Dang.
So it's just like I don't know. The spots are amazing. Obviously, there's a bunch of cool athletes there, but
Hmm.
there are some major
But if you're
pitfalls.
getting kicked out, it's like,
Yeah.
man, that kind
Um,
of sucks.
Other than that, is there any like Winter Jam, dude? Everybody go to Winter Jam. What are
Oh
y'all
yeah, dude,
doing,
y'all
man?
tripping, bro. If y'all don't go to Texas Winter Jam, it
Oh my
happens every year.
God.
It's the first weekend of every new year. It's super dope because we're in Texas, so even if it is cold, it's not even that bad.
It's not
It's
even
no,
cold.
it's no snow on the ground. Yeah, most of the time it's not even cold. It's
Bro, it's
like
like 50
80
degrees.
degrees.
Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like,
for real.
and it depends. Like, yeah, it'd be like 50 degrees, 60 degrees. Sometimes I've been some years and it's been like hot, like we're sweating and we got to
Yep,
take off our shirts and
yep.
shit. So,
People like swimming in winter. Just
yeah,
like, oh, all right, guys, this is
yeah,
normal.
exactly. So, like, definitely go to Texas Winter Jam if you haven't been.
Yeah.
I guess what Beast Coast is the jam that's happened every year. I've never gotten a
Beast
chance
Coast
to
is a big
go.
one. Yeah. I
Yeah,
went. It was a great time. I don't know.
you know,
I
yeah, that's
I'm
cool.
sure there's a ton in Europe. Like For the Love of Movement was amazing. I don't even know if they're still doing it. Crap
Hmm.
Invaders was amazing. I don't know if they're still doing it.
Man, you went to like the OG sick jams,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dang.
I mean, there's
When
a
when they
lot of
got the
cool ones.
gym, did you go to the gym whenever
I
they had
never
the
got to
gym?
go to the gym, sadly.
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted
Dude, the
to,
gym was
but it
sick.
was when I was out there. It was just after their gym closed down,
Yeah.
so that sucked.
Hmm.
I like this question too. Thoughts on the future of parkour and the up and coming generation of athletes? I got so many thoughts on it, dude.
Man, the ones that are doing good, I love
Oh, dude,
watching.
there's
Like,
savages.
yeah. Like
There.
Modus. I like watching we got Modus playing right now.
Oh yeah.
I
I
fucking
hope they
love
don't
these
mind that
guys.
we're just using their videos.
Yeah. I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Talk
Yeah.
to talk to Giles or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But dude, they're all sick.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I like them a lot, but
And seeing the new athletes being added, like Ethan Rudd, dude, he's a
hmm,
freaking I love.
yes, dude.
He's a guy that's got creativity, tech, power. He's got a little bit of everything, and
Got
he
it
uses
all.
it so well.
Yeah.
Um,
And also I'm just gonna like I also like that he's American. So
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair. That's
like
fair.
there's not many like big American teams or like, or like I don't know. Americans being
Exactly.
like I don't know. It's all Europe. It's all Europe, dude.
Yeah,
They run stuff. So anytime
good to see
anyone
more
in
homegrown.
America is getting spotlight, yeah, exactly. I'm
And
happy
then
for that.
adding on to that, do you think parkour is becoming too much like tricking? I see too many tricking lines on IG. So this is where I kind of want to dive into this a little bit more and the
Hmm.
future of parkour. Right now, the future of parkour, because we've lived me and you, DJ, we've lived through the
A lot.
grassroots, like nothing's
Yeah.
happening in the parkour world, to that insane blow up where it was on everybody's tongue. Everybody knew what parkour was, but it was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And then that fell off, and now we're somewhere higher than we
It's
were
kind
before,
of
but it's quite a bit lower. And with COVID happening, it's dying a little bit more and more. Like a lot of the gyms are
hmm,
struggling, a lot of the events are struggling. It's going back to just like people making YouTube videos because that's all we got. Like,
yeah.
and it's interesting to see the change from where everybody's posting on YouTube and that was like the big clout. I think a big reason people started posting on Instagram is because everybody was seeing what was going on Instagram and
Yeah.
people were getting invited to live events and being able to travel because of their Instagram. But now that
Yeah.
there are no live events and there are no things to be invited to, people are like, "Oh, Instagram sucks because there's no
Yeah.
opportunities now." So now we're going back to this more long form YouTube style because you're not really getting anything for your Instagram
Yeah.
posts, and I
Which
think
is
that's something
awesome because
people don't take into account.
that's how the community grew to begin with was
Exactly.
through YouTube.
Yep.
Like so these long style videos are like the way like kind of like how we're going to start growing again like as a sport and
Exactly.
a community.
And it's
Um
always been hard as a sport and in our community to make money as an athlete.
yeah.
Um, that's getting kind of harder. I was hoping it would get
Hmm.
easier, but with COVID hitting, it's getting harder to actually make money. Traveling isn't really a thing. Stunts are harder to get into now because
Yeah,
there's just less of it going on. Competitions obviously aren't running. Workshops aren't a thing because we can't travel. Like, dude, it's hard right
exactly.
now. I think there's going to be a
Yeah,
big resurgence, especially with with YouTube coming back into things. People are going to start going on more trips around the world, around the U.S., around wherever, and filming these big long videos and bringing a lot of hype back. Um,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. It's
Oh,
definitely the way to go.
bro, another thing I wanted to talk about in this is
What?
talking about like so many people doing these tricker lines,
Hmm.
and our thoughts on that. I mean, my big thought is I the way that I like to look at it is you have parkour, you have free running, you have tricking, right? Like
Yeah,
those are the three things. And then you just have flipping. And that's kind of the, Instagram
yeah.
flippers that do those
That's
things.
what Instagram. Instagram is just flipping.
It's just flipping, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have the hybrids. You have parkour and free running, you have tricking and free running, and you have
Hmm.
flipping and tricking and flipping and parkour.
Yeah,
Like those are the hybrids, right? And so when
yeah,
personally, my style, my taste, I love seeing parkour and free running. I
yeah,
don't really like seeing tricking and free running in the way that it's being done now, where it's just like, look, let me do a double Kong, like TDR double cork pop full. I'm
yeah.
like, okay,
It's
cool.
like
Like I
one
don't care.
obstacle and then it's flat.
Exactly. I
You
want to
know what I
see
mean?
more obstacle interaction, right?
Yeah,
And then, but yeah, so I like to see a lot more obstacle stuff. And I feel like when it comes to like tricking in parkour, it's like you said, one obstacle and then tricking. Where when it's
hmm,
parkour and free running, it's you're using your obstacles to do the tricks. And
yeah.
that's way more exciting to me. And I
You
want to
pretty
see more
much
of that.
hit it right on the head. You know.
Yeah.
But I understand people doing tricking lines or like parkour or not parkour lines or like flipping type of lines because on social media that's what's doing well. The
Yep.
market's deciding what it likes to see and they're rewarding those athletes based on that.
Exactly.
So athletes are seeing that and then they are replicating what they see.
Yep.
You
And
know.
I would also say
Ah,
it's never bad to like do
yeah,
tricking. I think tricking's amazing, and I think tricking's amazing as its own sport, and it's amazing what it's brought to parkour and free running.
yeah,
Um, I don't think it's bad to be a flipper. I don't think it's bad to be a tricker. I don't think it's bad. I'm purely talking about the stuff that I like to see, which is more uh, parkour oriented free running.
yeah, yeah. We got a question. Have we talked about Skull Chatter yet? We haven't talked about it.
Ooh, mate.
I'm really excited about it.
I'm
We
so
were
hyped.
talking and I was trying to get information. All Nate was probably getting mad at me. We saw him in Atlanta. I just kept trying to get him to say stuff. He is keeping that stuff under wraps, bro.
He's
I'm
good
like,
at
bro,
it, man. Yeah.
just let me see a clip. I know you got one on your phone, bro. Come on, just throw me one. Just throw me one. You know what
He
I'm saying?
knows.
He
He
ain't.
knows though. It's gonna bring down the hype just that little bit. It's gonna start those
Yeah,
rumors. He wants to leave
yeah.
nothing out in the open. Just let
But
us
I
see
am
it as it
mad.
is.
I'm mad stoked. I need to pre-order. If you guys haven't pre-ordered his book, definitely do it. Support
Yep.
athletes.
Yep.
So I need to do that. I'll probably do that after we get done live
Oh,
streaming.
you
Get
better
his
believe I
photo
already
book,
got that for you, dude.
dude.
The second
Yeah,
I saw it, I was like, "Yep, got to support Nate. Let's go."
yeah, yeah. I'm falling off. I
And
need to do that.
I think the more we support stuff like that, the more opportunities there's going to be for it. Like Store really spearheaded everything with the
Yeah.
first paid parkour video stuff,
Hmm.
and then Modus continued it. And I think it's dude, it was so cool to see Bippa. Dude, I'm sorry, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
Berlingo,
Kippa.
Kippa,
Yeah.
yeah, Kippa. Uh,
Berlingo was sick.
dude, seeing Berlingo and seeing the comments, Nate's book, Nate Weston's got like a photo book coming out with Skull Chatter. Check it out,
Yeah.
pre-order it, buy it, support. But it was cool seeing the difference between. So when Store first released Roof Culture, Kippa, thank you. Uh, when they first released Roof Culture and you had to pay for it, the community was pissed. The community didn't
Yeah.
want to pay for something like that. Well, I mean, the smart people did, but like
Yeah.
a lot of the community was complaining about it, and that's all you would see. And now you see Kippa release Berlingo for free, and the community
Hmm.
was like, "Wait, I would have paid money for this. Why didn't you charge us for
Yeah.
this? You should charge us for this. We should pay
Hmm.
money for this." And
It's
I think
funny
that's
how
opening up more avenues.
especially how long we've been doing parkour. I've seen so many arguments with everything. Like it was like is parkour and free running different? That was like the big topic, you know.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
like
yeah.
the first gym started coming up, and it's like, oh man, you shouldn't be making
You
money
shouldn't be
through parkour. You
profiting
don't
off
need
of this,
gyms to
yeah.
do parkour. Yeah, you shouldn't be profiting off of it.
And
Then it was
then clothing
competitions, like
clothing started before competitions, right? Or no,
yeah,
I guess
yeah,
competition. And people were
yeah.
like, "Oh, this is not a competitive sport."
Yeah, exactly. And then clothing, and it's like, oh man, no, we shouldn't be making clothing. We're trying to profit off hardcore, and like, it's just funny how things slowly change over
Yeah,
time. You know, now these things are a lot more open and acceptable, but it usually takes a person to do it first, to be the
mhm,
one that's going to take all the BS hate from it
yep.
before it makes it normal. But it's
And
it's very important to be spending money within the parkour community if you
exactly.
truly care about it and you want it to grow.
Exactly.
So,
Circulate the money around so that more people can get
hmm
paid, more people can do more stuff, and we can all hopefully
exactly.
make a living through parkour. That would be the end goal.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
ultimate goal.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy though. Also, notoriously, the first person to do something just gets so much hate for it. The community
Yeah,
in past years, I'm hoping it's starting to change, but you know how it does.
yeah.
In past years, it was like any new idea that came to the table was immediately met with people hating on it,
Yep,
and so
exactly.
it was really hard for anybody to start something new, and nobody wanted to try something new because of all the hate that would happen. So hopefully, the more people try new things, the easier it's going to be to do bigger and better things in the future.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. All right, should we get in some of these Instagram questions?
Dude,
I
let's get into
totally
some.
forgot
I
about
know
that.
we really out here.
Let's see.
I got one if you don't got one.
Okay, I'm pulling it up now. If you got one now,
All
just
right,
go
yeah,
on and
yeah, I
shoot
got
it
one.
out.
I like this question. I think there's a very easy answer to it, which is why I like it. Is it useful to start free running at the age of 21?
Uh, is it useful?
Is it useful? Is was the question.
Mm, it's
S-
always better to start as early as possible.
Yeah. I would say it's always better to start as early as possible, but I would also say if you haven't started already and you want to start,
Yeah, yeah, just do
start.
it.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
think I don't know if that person's looking for like validation
right.
that they could be good at the age of 20, right? Like it's gonna you'll be as good as you push yourself, you know.
Exactly. To
So
put it into perspective, I started when I was almost 19.
yeah, oh yeah, you
So,
started like you're already right there. And
yeah,
Joe, you're a fucking beast.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I started very late in terms of everything. But also, like, uh, I want to talk about the word, is it useful? And I guess the question is parkour, is free running useful to do? And if the answer is yes, then it doesn't matter what age you put before that. The
Yeah,
answer, should I start, is always going to be yes. If your
yeah,
answer to is it useful is no, then
no,
the answer will always be no. And
yeah,
only you can decide that, right? Like to me, I think it's useful for everybody, no matter what.
yeah,
If your definition of useful is will I be the best in the world and win art of motion, then your chances of doing that are significantly lower starting later.
yeah,
Can you still get to an insanely high level and have that be useful throughout the other avenues of your life, like the other facets of
yeah.
your life? 100% yes.
Hmm.
It just depends on what you want to do and why.
Yeah, exactly. If you're trying to be high level professional athlete, it's always better to start younger.
Yeah.
But if you just want to be good
You can
and
also,
train,
I would also
have
argue that
fun.
you could learn every skill that's out there if you dedicate 3 years to training hard, right?
Yeah,
And you don't have any underlying like health issues as far as bad body mechanics that you really have to fix that might take a ton of time, or like weak bones or something like that. I don't know.
yeah. You get
You you
injured or something like that.
you could learn everything that anybody can do right now within 3 years,
Yeah,
and I believe that strongly. Like you might not be perfectly fluid and confident with all of it, but you could do it. And you might have to go through absolute hell to do it, but you could do it.
yeah.
So there's
Let
that
me
one.
see.
What you got?
I'm going through them. What motivates you to keep up your training? Honestly, I know Joey got thoughts on this.
Hey,
Joey
go
went through
ahead,
the
go ahead.
ringer on this. For
Holy shit.
me, I just feel like I'm still getting better. So I just like doing it just solely because I'm. It's really fun, right? I just love to do it, and I'm getting better at it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have like I don't really believe in motivation, honestly. But if I had to pin it to something, I just see myself getting better, especially watching like old videos of myself training.
Hmm.
Well, for some debate, I was a little bit better when I was younger, but I was a lot more reckless. But I just see myself progressing, whether physically or mentally. Still enjoying myself, still love moving with other people and finding just new challenges and breaking mental barriers. The whole typical, you know, parkour answer.
Yeah.
But that's what I love. Joey, on the other hand, has definitely has like been through the ringer with
Oh
motivation.
my
So
God, dude. Yeah, I've been all over the place. So, yeah, when I started, I just really wanted to train, right? Like that's all I wanted to do. I was so hyped uh on just progressing and getting better because it was like kind of the only good thing that I had for a while. So I was just like, let me
hmm
just tackle this and go straight down this road. I didn't really care about motivation. I didn't really understand that because I was so motivated that it didn't
yeah.
feel like motivation. It just felt like this is what I do. Um, and it was that way for like 5 years. And then I started doing competitions. I started traveling a ton. Like there started being these other things, and I started trying to make money off of parkour because I was like, dude, I'm like 24, and
hmm
all I've ever done for a job is like coach part time. I have no money. Like this kind of sucks. Let me try to figure out how I can make a living out of this. Um, but still, like the main thing that I wanted to do was just train because like DJ said, I felt like I was still progressing a lot, and I still had a long way to progress.
Yeah.
Fast forward the clock to where I'm like 20. I'm almost 30 now. Uh, it day to day, it'll feel like I plateaued back in the day and like I'm probably not going to get better than I was a couple years ago. But then also it feels like, wait a minute, hold on, I'm actually just already significantly better than I was a couple years ago, and there's still a lot of room to progress. And so that's
hmm
where my motivation is weird because one day I'll be like, hell yeah, I want to get super good. Let me go out and I'll have a great day of training where I'll just like progress a ton and learn a bunch of new stuff and feel super powerful. And then the next time I go out, I realize just how much I need to learn to get to a skill level that I want to be at that day. And
Yeah.
I think about like, oh man, it's going to take me, I'm going to have to spend like 3 hours a day on this one thing to get good at it in a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a
That's
lot
where
of
like
time that I
yeah.
don't really have because like I'm damn near 30 and I'm still not making any money. Like,
That's where like that's why I don't like motivation because motivation changes so much.
yep,
Like day to day, year to year, moment to moment. Like I could be stuck on like a parkour line and not get it and just be like, I am no longer motivated to train at all. So like
exactly.
I don't know really a solution to that. Maybe just finding the why, like why you train is a little bit of a better way to figure out your motivation.
Hmm.
Like um not necessarily like what's gonna get me up at this moment to train right now.
Exactly. Because when it comes down to like, when it really comes down to it, it's about why do you want to train? If the
Yeah,
answer is purely just for fun and you wake up and you don't feel like training, then the proper course of action is to not train.
yep,
Now, the problem comes when you tell yourself, I just train for fun, but then when you're not training, like let's say you wake up, you don't feel like training, so you don't train that day, and then you feel like absolute shit because of it. You got to
mhm,
readdress the reason that you're training.
yeah,
Because if you're going to feel like shit because you didn't do something that should be fun, then you're probably not just doing it for fun. You
yeah,
probably, want to progress in some way. You want to get stronger.
mhm.
You have other motivations, right? Um, so you
And
need
the
to
overall
address that.
picture, you got to see the overall picture, right?
Yeah,
Like if you do it just for fun, okay, there's no pressure to that. You can go out and train. But if you want to
exactly.
be good, right?
Yep,
Overall, you do parkour because it's fun, but there are many facets within that aren't
exactly.
fun,
And
and if you can like stay motivated, I hate motivation. If
I
you can grind on those things, you like that's the way to go. So
exactly. And
you're,
I
you're
I
not gonna
also
always have
think
fun.
it if you want to train to get good or train to get better, train to progress, whatever you want to say, um, it comes down to discipline. Like
Yeah, discipline. That's the word. There we
it
go.
comes down to
Discipline
discipline.
yourself.
You got to be disciplined with your training. You have to. you have to know when it's the right time to take a rest day, and you have to know when
Hmm.
it's the right time to power through and train even though you don't want to. Um,
Exactly.
but I would say it's the most important thing to manage your training and your mentality about training, because I've seen so many people, myself included, just get so burnt out from training, and I have to train, I have to get better, I have to do this, that they don't want to train anymore, they don't want to do anything anymore, and they just end up quitting.
Yeah.
They just get burnt out and they're like, I'm done with the sport. I think that's
Hmm.
like the worst thing you can do. It would be better to, take 6 months off because you don't feel like it than to get mentally burnt out to the point where you never want to train again.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
important to manage those things.
YouTube comment: when you land on one leg, it starts hurting. When you jump on that leg, wait. When you land on one leg and it starts hurting when you jump on that leg, would that be tendonitis? Well, I think tendonitis is usually when, well, it depends because there's like two types of tendonitis. If you're landing and it hurts, I think it's like more towards the bottom of the kneecap, then it's most likely tendonitis. Um, there's a couple of things. So like I've suffered from tendonitis so many different times in so many different ways and different reasons, right? So I've had tendonitis because my mobility is just completely shit. And I knew that because I would have tendonitis and then I worked on my mobility and then it just went away, right? I've had moments where I've had tendonitis. My mobility's okay, but I'm just not strong. And
Mhm.
so like I would just take a rest for a little bit, start lifting, get my body stronger, and then the tendonitis will go away. Currently, I don't really have any like bodily pain, not any nagging injuries like that. It usually just varies from day to day because I'm just sore from lifting so much.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of just depends. So if you're dealing with any type of knee problems or any type of tendonitis, you kind of have to experiment a little bit. You need to ask yourself truly, am I strong enough to be doing the things I'm trying to do? Right? Like, is that the problem?
Mhm.
Or you could be like, I consider myself to be a strong person, but I'm not very mobile, and so my body's compensating for bad landings by using different types of muscle groups. Um, that's kind of what you kind of have to figure out before
Yeah.
you go further. But I would always recommend, if you're dealing with tendonitis, if it's really really bad, and some people say it's really bad, but I like really bad tendonitis is like I was like walking upstairs one day, and I literally, like, if I had to put the pain on a scale, it would be like a 9. Like I had to
Oh.
stop and sit down, like because it hurt that bad. So it gets really really bad, right? Um, if it's that bad, rest, put ice on it, and then over time start getting back into training and figuring out if you need to be more mobile, if you need to be lifting or something like that. An exercise I can give you that can help is isometric exercises. So like stuff like wall sits, holding that, being able to hold that for like a minute or 2 minutes, maybe doing 3 or 4 sets of that will help out a lot. It helps out a lot with strengthening ligaments, which take a while to get to gain as far as strength is concerned. And you can do isometric exercises to do that, and it should help a little bit. Now, if you're still having trouble, then you need to start working on, if you need to work on your mobility or strength or maybe both. So I hope that makes sense.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know very little about injuries and stuff like that, but in my experience, if
dude,
you're
Joey got
having
the best
pain,
genetics ever, bro.
yeah, I got good genetics.
Bro,
I got
you
good
don't,
genetics, and I
Lord.
also strength trained a lot when I was getting into parkour. I feel like a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
people get into parkour, have a nagging injury because of it, and then start strength training. I uh
yeah.
I was strength training a ton, and I was very strong for my body size
Hmm.
before I was doing any big jumps or anything major. You also got to understand, dude, when we started, people weren't going insane. This ties into another question that was in the chat.
Oh yeah.
And it was what helps to become an athlete that lasts long in terms of physical capabilities, and how the hell is Dom
Hmm.
still going after 5 meter drops on concrete for 11 plus years? Speaking of aging, thoughts on parkour for longevity, and if some athletes are destroying their bodies. Going to that
Oh,
second part, we'll dive into all this, but
yeah.
and this might be
Where
the
you want to
last
start? Where
topic.
you want to start?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go into if some athletes are destroying their bodies. So
Okay.
I see so many people not being critical thinkers, not
Yeah.
analyzing anything at all. So they'll come to me with a question on Instagram or something, and we'll talk about flips for now, but I want you to see how this ties into everything.
Yeah.
They'll come to me on Instagram with a front flip that literally looks like a, a, a baby trying to do a somersault, right? They jump into the air and they basically just forward roll to their butt, and it looks
Yeah.
super painful. And they're like, man, I can't figure out how to do this front flip. What's going wrong? And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, how long, like, can can you do a somersault? Can you do a cartwheel? Like, can you control your body at any level right now? And they can't. And then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
how long have you been practicing front flips? And they're like, well, I started like 3 days ago. They're just not getting any better. And I'm like,
Yep.
think about what you're saying. Like, take time, figure things out. Like, it should be obvious why you can't do a front flip yet. Now, moving over to like jumps, right? People will start doing jumps from like 5 feet. They'll try to do a precision down to the ground. That's
Yeah.
a freaking huge jump for a normal person. To somebody in
Yeah.
parkour that, like, watching the Modus guys right now, they'll do jumps like that easy. It's no thing to them, but they've been training for a long, long time. The
Hmm.
problem nowadays is newcomers see professional athletes doing these jumps and they want to jump right into that.
Yeah.
Now, it was easy for like me and DeAndre and like other people back when we started because nobody was doing anything that insane. People were doing roof stuff, people were doing some flips, but the overall general skill level was not that high.
Yeah.
Like, if you could do all of your vaults and you could do a Kong precision, you were probably pretty good in your community.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had at least a year of just doing basics before we ever jumped into something like
Exactly. Because
higher
we
than
had
our
we had
head.
no idea what the cap was. The cap was so
Exactly.
low. So like we will spend a year, 2 years just training. I definitely know like in the like training basic stuff. And in the beginning, a lot of it was strength based. So
Exactly.
like a lot of it was like being strong, doing QMs like for like long distances or doing
hmm
like muscle ups and climb ups and like
or
things
we
like
could
that.
only do 3 vaults. So we would go out for an 8-hour
Yeah.
session and just train those 3 vaults in different ways. Like
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
it
But what we benefited is we were training, right? So like we have a very solid foundation. So whenever
mhm.
we see high level movements, we can perform those things a little bit easier than like the average person's because we
We have
have
the landing tech,
such
we have the strength, we have the
exactly,
ability to move
exactly.
and control our body in that way where there's a lot of people that I see nowadays who they'll learn, let's say they'll learn all their basic vaults, rolling,
Hmm.
front flip, and back flip within their first month
Yeah,
of training. They'll learn all those things, but they have
yeah,
no like power behind any of it. They have no strength, they have
exactly.
no control. Their
And just
body hasn't
no
adapted to it.
repetition.
No repetition,
Yeah,
exactly. So even
because
though
like
they can
you've only
do
been
the
doing it for a
skill,
month.
exactly, even though they can do the skill, their body hasn't adapted to them
Hmm.
doing the skill yet. You have to do that over years for your body to really be like, oh, this is what I'm going to be asked to do every day of my life. Let me build the muscle, let me build the strength to be able to do this. And
Exactly,
people don't give it enough time. They just want to keep progress until they end up just destroying their everything, their joints, their
exactly.
tendons, like all of it just gets beaten up because they don't have the strength to control it, to handle it.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Like that's where athletes start getting out of the game.
Yep.
They're trying to reach this high level super fast and they're not aware of how much time it actually takes to reach that level. And they're not being honest with themselves. Like they're like scared of do side flip pre's or rails, but they just learned a side flip like 3 months ago.
Yep.
And like they don't even consistently land it. So like
Exactly.
it's
And they can't
dude,
do they can't land 5 out of 5 on a line, but they
yeah,
want to
exactly.
do a rail. Uh,
Yeah, and now they're like, "Oh, there must be some secret that they have that I don't have." And it's like, I'm gonna tell everyone the secret right now, bro. Train a lot. Just train a lot.
just train
You'll
a
be good.
lot. It's very simple, right? And like
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like a cheat when I coach people because it seems so obvious to me what the problems are because I've been around for
Hmm.
a long time. But when it's not obvious what the problem is, the solution to figuring it out is obvious. I
Yeah.
watch somebody's video that can do the skill really well, and then I watch the person who's struggling with the skill, and I look at the differences.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you're like, oh, everything looks the same? Cool, it's strength or mobility.
Mm-hmm.
Something looks different,
Exactly.
there's your problem.
Yep.
And like
Exactly.
that pretty much sums it up. And I think a lot of people don't like to take that time or don't like the answers that they get. Um, so like
They,
if
they don't want
somebody
to. They don't want
asks
to hear that. They don't want to hear. Oh, you just need to train more and work on
exactly,
strength, or because those things you can't fix right away. You can't get stronger overnight,
nope,
right?
you
You're
just have
gonna
to
have
put
to
in more
dedicate some
reps.
time. Exactly. Exactly.
And people don't like to hear that. They want there to be a technical issue with why they
Yes.
aren't able to do it because technical
Hmm.
issues are very easy to fix,
Yeah.
or a lot
Exactly.
easier to fix.
It's a lot easier to fix. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be a technical issue that you can't even focus on right now because you're still focusing on something else, right?
Yep.
So like
Yep.
so flipping super easy. So like if someone's just doing a front flip, right, and they keep landing low, but they're jumping high, right? And they're not tucking super tight, right? The obvious solution is like, hey, just tuck a little bit tighter, you'll rotate faster, and then you should be able to land a little bit cleaner, right? But if they're still focusing on making sure their arms are up before they punch
Yep.
and do a flip, when you give them too much information, they won't be able to. They'll start losing stuff. Like they won't jump as high, but they'll tuck really
Exactly.
hard, or they'll jump really high, not tuck very hard, or they won't set their arms right. You know, so you kind
Or
of
by
just
the
have
same
to,
vein, if they're still so scared before every rep that they might
yeah,
kill themselves, they're not going to
yeah,
be able to fix anything because they're just so focused
exactly,
on,
bro.
am I gonna die right now?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there needs to be things that they work on before that. Like for example, dive rolls. The amount
Yep.
of people that I see that can't do a goddamn dive roll that want to learn front flips,
Yeah,
dude,
bro,
I
it's
want
crazy.
to cry when I see that.
Literally, like any flip too. Like I'm like, can you cartwheel? Can you round off? Can you
Yep,
hold a handstand for like not even that long? Can you hold a handstand maybe 5 seconds? Something like that. I don't
yep,
know. A lot of these people can't do that stuff, but they want to learn how to do a backflip. I'm like,
exactly.
dude, you got a ways to go. You could probably force it out, but that's when you start risking injury.
Risking a lot, exactly. One
Yeah.
that is when one small thing goes wrong and they get injured. Where
Yep.
somebody that knows how to actually control their body in all these different ways, things like you said, cartwheels, handstands, roundoffs,
Hmm.
basic parkour, even stuff like that, when they mess up a front flip, a small mistake almost means nothing because they know how to move their body, they know how to control it, and it's very easy um,
Yes.
to fix that small mistake. But when somebody's just hucking it for the first or second time, dude, one small thing goes wrong and then they're injured and now they're out and it's just a whole thing. So
Yeah.
it's all about gaining control over time, which pretty much ties into
Hmm.
this question. What do you recommend for better air awareness for flips and spins? I recommend better air awareness in literally everything else.
Yeah.
If you're doing a flip where you can spot the ground, focus on spotting the ground. If you're not doing a flip where you can spot the ground, then it comes down to reps. So, for example,
Hmm.
front flips, you can't spot the ground. It comes down to repping out front flips so that you gain the air awareness. There's no
Exactly.
like easy way to gain that air awareness. I do have a Kong front slash front flip tutorial on my YouTube, on Instagram, or IGTV, where it talks about basically you gain air awareness through doing things like cartwheels and front handsprings and roundoffs off tables, rolling
Hmm.
off tables. All these things build that air awareness, and they're things that people just skip over nowadays because they want to progress too quickly. Where us,
Hmm.
when we started, nobody could teach us how to do a front flip, so we had to learn from
Had
a
to learn.
roll or
Yeah.
crash a bunch.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily like blame those people, right? I'm sure if I
No,
was
no.
young and I started now, I
Oh,
would
I'd be
probably be the same
sending.
way, you know. And the only reason why we can reflect on that is just because we've been doing it so long that we know truly like
Yeah,
this is what the reason is. You need to just put in more time, more effort, and not rush things. Kind of
yep,
let things progress. I mean, there are moments to push yourself, but only push yourself when you're truly ready. And the people know when they're ready to do something.
yeah.
Like they try to act like they don't know why they can't land a certain thing, but I'm like, I'm sure you really do know why. It's because
Hmm.
you can't even front or back handspring. So of course you're gonna be afraid to do this or
Yep.
this, you know?
Oh, you already know how pissed I get when people don't go through the progressions.
Yes, bro.
Bro, oh my God. If I give you a proven strategy to get a flip, but you don't want to do the first two progressions because you think they're too easy, then I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. Like,
Hmm.
dude, it pisses me off so
And
much.
if
Or
it's truly easy, you could just do it and get it out the
exactly,
way. But most of
exactly.
the time, it's not easy, and
And
it's like, okay, this isn't easy for you then.
you know how many people when we're in the gym want to just throw down mats and send it to their back 50, 60 times until
Yeah,
they're confident enough to send it instead of just doing three progressions and doing it in 5 minutes. Like,
yeah,
just do the goddamn progressions. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a tangent. That brought
Hey
up so
man,
many.
nah, this is what the people need.
Oh
It's what the
man,
people
that
need, bro.
stuff pisses me
Yeah.
off, man. Like,
Oh, Caden, that playlist does go hard. Caden's talking about, dude. So yesterday I was doing legs, right? And there's this playlist I saw that was called Lift Heavy Shit, and it was just heavy metal. And I don't listen to heavy metal, right? Dude, that thing made me want to punch a baby. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but
made me
like,
want to punch a baby.
bro, I felt so strong and invigorated. Like I was
Oh
screaming,
my god,
like I was like,
dude.
yo, and I was like, no one told me that this is what you listen to when you lift weights. Like, oh, okay, like
This is
this is
still
the
life.
wave now. Yeah. And Caden, I told Caden about it yesterday, and he's listened to it again today, I guess. It was like, dude, the playlist hits different. It truly does hit different,
Holy
bro.
crap, that's actually hilarious. With that said, though, I feel like it's probably just about time to wrap up.
Yeah. This
Mainly
was
because I have to
good,
pee really bad.
bro. I feel you. And I gotta lift, so
Dude, you gotta lift, you gotta get to the gym. Yeah, this was fun.
hmm.
Those of you in the chat, thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for asking questions. I'm gonna try. Do you want to do this next week, or what's your
Yeah,
thoughts, CJ? You want to do
let's
it
do it
again?
again, bro. This was
Hell
fun.
yeah. Next week,
Yeah.
same time. We're gonna try to keep this rolling through. Dude, we still have so many Instagram questions that we did not even
Yeah,
get close to
we'll get to
touching
them
on.
next week. We'll save them and
Yeah.
we'll come back.
And those of
But
you that
this
are
was cool.
watching the recorded version of this that'll be on my YouTube after this, make sure if we didn't answer your question that you sent us on Instagram, come to the live stream next week and ask it in the chat because we're a lot more
Yeah,
likely to answer the chat questions than Instagram questions. We just wanted the Instagram questions in case we didn't have a chat and nobody was actually watching.
yeah. I think next week we'll hit the was it Ashigaru videos? We'll hit
Oh
those.
yeah, that sounds good. That sounds
Yeah, we'll
great.
just switch up playlists, switch up
Ashigaru, get some
teams.
Andis in here.
Yeah, get some Indus in here. That's
Hell
the
yeah.
truth.
Hell
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's the truth.
Eventually we'll
But
have our own YouTube videos that we can play, but we lazy.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, it starts small. Just live stream the
Yep.
small, you know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep.
Big things coming, bro.
All right, y'all. It was a pleasure having you. And again, if you got more questions, feel free to just DM me or DJ. Say this is for the live stream. Ask the question, and then we'll have it. The more questions we have, the better. Feel free to drop them in the comments of this once we leave as well. If you don't already know, you can find us both on Instagram. DeAndre Jones, Joey Adrian. Just search us, you'll find us.
Yeah, we
Same
keep it
kind of thing.
easy.
Yep. DJ, you got anything else you want to say?
Hey man, watch World Chase Tag tonight. No cap. What's up?
Yo, no cap
Uh,
going in on World Chase Tag. Make sure you check it
you know what
out.
I'm saying?
If you're not subscribed to a place where you can watch it, just get the free trial. It's awesome. It shows support. Everything's
Hmm.
great.
Yep.
Coolio.
All right, man. Take care, guys.